Okay, welcome back to the channel. So this is a quick little update because it's been a little while since I've posted a video. So I've actually been back to work from my sabbatical for about 3 months at this point, and I've been posting videos of my sabbatical journey in the past few weeks, but it's been about a month since I've posted anything. And I'm feeling the pressure that I need to get something out there, kind of internally manifested pressure. But anyway, yeah, so I've been back to work for about 3 months, and I have a certain degree of responsibility in my day job, and things have gotten busy, so I've been focused on that, and I haven't had a chance to post any videos. But I still have multiple videos left of my sabbatical adventures to edit and post, so stay tuned for those. We have a few more of those, and a couple other things I've done in the last couple of months as well that I've been able to shoot, but I haven't been able to edit and get posted to YouTube yet. So this quick update is just to check in, get something out there quickly, and also to appease a certain segment of my audience out there that has really wanted to see a rig walk. So this is the chance. We're going to do a little rig walk of the Raptor parked in my driveway, and some of the mods that I have done to it, and also some of the mods that you may have seen in the Overland series or the sabbatical Overland series that I did. And there are no more. I've kind of revamped things and done a couple of changes as well. The one thing to keep in mind about overlanding, at least that I've learned, is that you're constantly retooling, re-upgrading, remodding, trying something, seeing if it works. It doesn't work, you do something a little differently. So with that, I'm going to start touring the Raptor build. Okay, we are here. It's a very brisk autumn evening in Oregon, and we're going to do a little rig walk on the Raptor. So a brief overview of the Raptor. It's a 2018 Raptor. I bought it in August of 2018. I now have 30,000 miles on the truck. A big portion of those miles were done on a lot of overland trips. Went to California a few times. Obviously, I did my big sabbatical overland adventure, which was 7,000 miles. In total, I've done about 12,000 miles of road trips and adventures on it in the last year. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the truck exterior-wise and look at all the mods I've done in the last year that I've owned it. And then probably look inside the bed, the suspension upgrades I've done, and then maybe we'll look under the hood at some of the wiring harnesses we've done, as well as just some add-ons I've done in the interior as well. So we're going to get started with the front and work our way back. One of the first mods I did on this truck was doing the rigid lights up here in the bumper. So I've got a spot, I've got an amber, and I've got a flood up front. Now obviously the flood and the spot, are not road legal. I only use those off-road. And then the middle amber is road legal, which is nice here in Oregon because we often have a lot of cloudy days or foggy days, through mountain passes or snow, and the amber light is really good to have, and it looks kind of cool too, to be honest. Plus, it's just a good running light to have on. You can kind of drive around with it all the time. So that is the first one. These are upside down. One of these days I will probably move the front plates and right side them up, but these have been very cool lights. Moving up, more lights with the KC M rack. So this is the M series rack on top of the truck, and that is custom for the F-150s. It's to order. When you order it for the truck specific. We've got the Gravity 6 Pro lights on the front, and then these are side-mounted lights on the side that are amazing for camp or lighting up the side of a trail or whatnot. And these Gravities are just amazing in terms of the amount of light they put out. I did paint them black just because I thought it tied into the truck better than keeping the KC logo up there in bright yellow. If KC wants to sponsor me someday, maybe I'll rock their KC logo, but that's not happening right now. Cases on top are just Plano rifle cases that I actually use for like recovery gear. So I have toe straps, D-rings, just all kinds of recovery gear up there, a couple tarps. I have a breaker bar for the tires if I needed to do that. So they're very handy cases to have. They're just bolted right into that rack. We drilled through the cases at the bottom and weather sealed them, and then set them on the rack, and they just live up there. We're very, very handy. In my other overlanding videos, I only have one of the cases, but I've since added another and moved the awning to a different part of the truck. So on that note, we're going to go take a look at the back of the truck and see how the KB Voodoo rack is set up. So back here we have the KB Voodoo rack, which is a very cool rack system. The only rack system that I could find at the time when I was looking around for a rack that would be able to fit with a tonneau cover. And I have the Retrax tonneau cover, just their standard tonneau cover back here. And what this does, and I've talked about this in another video, is there is this bracket system where that comes down from the foot of the rack into an S bracket that's supposed to clamp into the side of the bed, which we had done that for a while, but then we kind of realized that as a Raptor and how hard I drive it, it's maybe not, designed for that kind of level of abuse. So we've reinforced it since. So some of the innovations we've done in terms of custom reinforcing that I've done with my friend Nick and then another fabricator that we know is we added these industrial springs in between the brackets section to help bear some of the weight load. And then we also noticed that because this is an aluminum truck and these aluminum rails are a little soft, there's a lot of pulling and maybe some dipping in on the metal of the bed rail. So we fixed that out of the bed rail, kind of bent it back into shape, and then we added these really thick 1/4-inch steel brackets that we measured out custom and had fabricated and then powder coated. And these are actually bolted directly into the side of the bed rail. And then the KB Voodoo brackets, S brackets, are instead of being clamped on, now they're bolted in to this bracket, which is bolted into the bed. So, and what this does is it distributes the load greater. So we have a better load distributing of the weight, and it's not just isolated into this one little spot where the rack sits. And that has severely increased the stability and confidence level I have in this rack in terms of it being able to withstand abuse. And we did abuse it because recently I took this thing through the Mojave Desert on a Mojave Desert run with a group called Southwest Raptor Runs. Really fun time, and we drove it pretty hard. And this new mount system and bracket system really held up. So that really kind of improved the overall ability of an overlanding pre-runner sort of hybrid that this is. So yeah, KB Voodoo rack. On top of that is the Tepui tent. So this is the ruggedized Kukanam tent. I've done a couple of reviews of that, or talked about it in a couple other videos. Super great tent, really robust. I've used it like 30 times this year since I bought it already, and it's held up. I've only had to do a couple of minor adjustments to it. I had a post come out once, and I had to just reset it and then tighten the bolt up and everything. So really, not a lot of maintenance on the tent. So that's been good. On this side, we have the X-Bowl tracks. So I don't actually have max tracks. I know those are like the industry standard, but I kind of thought I wasn't sure how much I'd actually use them in what I do. And so I decided to take the X-Bowl option because it's a little cheaper. And they worked out great. I've used them one time to help get a GTI or Volkswagen Golf, I think, out of the beach in Lake Powell in Utah, which is probably going to be featured in another video that you'll see from my sabbatical coming up. So yeah, they have had a little bit of use. I've actually have not used these for my truck though. I've never been stuck to a point where I needed that with the Raptor. But they are very useful to have, and I've used them, so that works out great to help somebody nonetheless. Now we have on this side the Rotopacks for gas and for water. Now I used to have jerry cans custom mounted to the back of the truck, and those of you who have watched the series probably saw that. But over the time of using it, we realized that was a heck of a lot of weight to put in the back, and the mounting system that we crafted wasn't really up to snuff, so we decided to abandon that. And some of the philosophies that we've learned going through this are to see how much we can do with lighter loads. So we're going with the Retrax or the Rotopacks option for the time being on gas and water. So that's working out so far. And then finally, I've relocated my awning to the back, which works out great because we're trying to devise a method of kind of making the back tailgate more of a impromptu kitchen setup with potentially a bed slide in the future. And the awning really creates a good space to cover that up if you're you need the shade or you need the coverage of some sort. Okay, so in the bed of the truck, I have utilized Built Right Industry like side mount racks, which are great, and I've been able to put the high lift jack, fire extinguisher, axe, shovel, everything kind of tied into the side there, which gives you ample space in the center here to put gear, whatever you need, tools, camping gear, what have you, in camp rocking chair. If anybody knows, they know, camp rocking chair. And all that in there. So the Built Right Industry racks, super great for the Ford F-150s, very handy and useful. And then some of the other things you'll notice in here are obviously the big Mesa 5,000 amp auxiliary battery that we have mounted to the bed of the truck, right under the Retrax cover. That provides all my extra auxiliary battery power. I have a whole video on that if you haven't seen it, in terms of how that works and what that does to ensure that I'll never have to have a failure out in the on a trail where I can't start or have a dead battery or whatnot. And then it's also acts as an auxiliary power option for all of the different electronics that I'm using, lights and camera gear and what have you, refrigerator in the truck. Power box on the side here. This is just a little power box. We've talked about this as well. It's got a voltage meter, USB connections, and a 12-volt power supply that allows me to plug anything in the bed of the truck I want. Obviously, axe, shovel, and then the Retrax cover as well. So that is the bed feature of the truck. We did recently in the Mojave test out a design for a custom bed slide that we fabricated, but we pretty much kind of destroyed it when we were just going fast in the desert and going over lots of rough trails and whatnot. So we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board and see how we can make a pre-runner worthy bed slide. I think we can do it. We're up to the challenge. So but we are going to do something. It might be a smaller one or a half one that is just going to be used for a refrigerator and a stove and maybe some gear. But that's the goal of it, is to be able to pull that bed slide out and have a very convenient camp with the access to the stuff you need. So we are working on getting that designed this year. That's going to be a goal for 2020 goal. Okay, so that is the bed. Now we're going to look at the suspension upgrades I've done and go from there. All right, on to suspension. To start that off, we're looking at the front, and basically what I've done here is I've replaced the OEM springs up front with Geyser progressive springs. So what that does is it gives the truck a lift up front by about 2.5 inches. It creates a much more poised ride, so you don't feel as boaty and floaty when you make turns and whatnot. It's a little bit stiff. It's a little bit stiffer, but not bad. You're much more confident off-road. You're less likely to lawn dart this thing or bottom out the truck with these springs in. It just gives you a lot more confidence and a better control of ride up front with those springs. Now let's take a look at the back of the truck for suspension. What I have done is taken out the OEM leaf springs and replace them with Icon Vehicle Dynamic springs. We currently have them set to the level 2. Icon actually has 3 level settings for their springs, but there's basically 2 parties you can go with. You can go with Icon or Devers in this realm, and we went Icons here. Nick and I were talking about what would be good for my particular build. We decided we wanted the adjustability of the Icons because you can go 3 different level settings, and since I sometimes move this rack on and off, I wanted that ability to see if we can play with the level settings of the leaf springs. So we're set to level 2. It might actually just end up staying at level 2. We might go to a level 3. We're kind of testing that out at the moment. Level 2 seems to work really well, and that adds about a 2.25 inch lift from factory. In addition to that, we have SMC Bump Stop. So this is a bump stop kit from SMC. It's adjustable bump stop. It is vastly superior to the bump stop you get out of the away from the manufacturer. So before it was just like a little nub rubber thing on the frame of the truck, and now you have this whole system. It's interconnected. There's a crossbar that goes through under the bed of the truck and connects the frame together, so to speak, or sort of creates kind of a sandwich effect with these bump stops. And it's adjustable, so you can adjust the height based on load or what you're doing. And these have worked out really great, again, adding a lot of confidence to off-road. The last thing that I'll talk about on the underside of the truck here are the tires. So these tires are KM3s, BF Goodwrench KM3 mud terrain tires. I got these recently in LA because I was running on the original KO2s. At 28,000 miles, they started to get show very big signs of wear. I think 3 of the 4 tires were at about 40% tread, and 1 of the tires was down to like 20% tread. So I decided before I went to the Mojave Desert, just to make sure that I had a safe and reliable vehicle, and tires are very important, I decided to go ahead and get new tires while I was in Los Angeles. Right before I hit Mojave. So KM3s, these KM3s now have about 2,000 miles on them. I've only had them for 2 weeks. That would be going to from LA to through the Mojave and then back to Oregon. So I put about 2,000 miles on these puppies already. So that does it for the underside of the truck. Now we are going to take a look under the hood and show you the refined wiring setup that we've had that corresponds to the auxiliary battery. The last time we did this was when we did the episode on the auxiliary battery setup and how we had that all wired in. At the time, we actually had a wiring harness and everything on this side of the vehicle, tying in everything. We've since refined that, and we've created a whole custom fuse box, secondary fuse box on this side of the vehicle. We've tied that all in with a wiring harness that goes across the top and then back into the same setup that we've done before. So if you want to know how that workflow exists and functions, feel free to watch that other video on the auxiliary battery. The reason why we decided to do a custom fuse box on this side was to clean it all up, make it a little nicer and more contained, and also this gives us the ability to house a whole separate fuse system so that we can add another switch panel to the truck inside. So if you've been inside of a Raptor, you know there are 6 auxiliary switches on the top of the truck that tie into your system for lights or whatever you have. We are looking in the future to add another row of 6 switches custom in there, and they'll be tied into this fuse box. So that is the innovation here under the hood for mods. And now we're going to take a look inside. I've got the Built Right Industry. This is super easy, just Velcro panels on the back that keep camp gear, lights, extra stuff, batteries. Everything is pretty snug here on the back seat. It's pretty handy to have. Interior mods. Okay, you can see here this mod system is the Built Right. It's based on the Built Right Industry bracket that they sell for the Ford Raptor and I believe F-150 dash mount system. So it's just a bracket you bolt in, and then on it I've got my 76 Designs phone holder, and then I have a couple of mounts for cameras for when I'm doing videos, overlanding, GoPro mount, and my Sony mount for my A7 III camera that I'm using right now. This is a bracket that's probably gonna get changed soon. We're gonna go with more of a carbon fiber, more robust mount system, but this mount holds a iPad that I use guided GPS on when I'm overlanding. And then I've got a radar detector, a Unit R3, because I do a lot of long trips and that thing is very handy. All right, obviously it's getting dark out, but lucky for me, this truck draws out enough light to light me while I do a closing entry in this video. So that completes the rig walk of the 2018 Raptor that I have and how I've taken it from stock to turn it into an overlanding pre-runner hybrid. Hopefully I'll be able to do more of these in the future as I progress and add more to the truck. It's coming along pretty well right now, so I'm happy to be able to do this for everybody at the moment. If you have any questions about the build or anything, put them in the comments below. And until next time, thanks for watching.